why we are waging the war? To get the kingdom and the associated grandeur of sukha, the comforts and the related sukha. And he says we have become greedy of this thing. Sukha lobhena. No. Rajya sukha lobhena. So we're prepared to king our own people. Very right. It looks very logical, very effective. So when we do that, when you kill people for your own greed, then naturally you will accrue a lot of papa, lot of sin. And the other dimension is the dimension of maybe capital punishment and whatnot in the society. Very right type of thinking it looks. But what did Krishna say? Ki Bhagavan vacha api chedasi papebhyaha sarvebhya papakruttamaha sarvam jnana plamenaiva vrujanam santarishyasi. Said. So he says that you are going to understand later that you are not doing the papa by this process. Okay, for a moment, let me assume that you are doing the papa. And you are doing the biggest papa because you are killing so many people. Sarvebhyaha, papakrut tamaha. Papakrut, papakrut taraha, papakrut tamaha. Superlative. Even assuming you are doing all these things, what is the way out? What is the solution? Proper understanding. Sarvam gnana pravena iva. Prujinam santarishyasi. If you go on the boat of gnana, that is, if you understand the holistic dimension, the right knowledge, then all this papa will vanish. The whole thing is going to come back, you say. And that is the wonderful thing. Then, what is that knowledge? How to get at it? Krishna says, you must become eligible for that. What is the eligibility criteria? Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti gnanam glaninas tattvadarshinaha. Says that three qualities for the student. Eligibility criteria to start this process to get at the right knowledge, the total knowledge of the whole creation of the world beyond. Pranipata, Pariprashna, and Seva. Seva to shatter the tamas. Prashna and Pariprashna, questioning. That is to deal with the rajasic dimension and to go deeper into the sattva. And need of the surrender, Pranipata, the openness of the mind. To go beyond the rajas, These are the three qualities of the student as we have been seeing. And what about the teacher? We are all becoming teachers. Therefore, we must have two dimensions. We must know knowledge of all things, and at the same time, we have the realization of that, practical experience of it. Both are necessary. Okay, having said that, what is the knowledge that has been given? Na jayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuyaha ajo nitya shashvato hanyate hanyamane sharire. That is the knowledge, So, what is that knowledge? It says, Arjuna, don't think that you have the knowledge. So, what is happening? You think that you are only the body. And the death of the body is the total death, total annihilation. That's why you're all so much worried about it, So, this the limited knowledge that you have. So, what is the knowledge that you must have? What you have this is only a small portion of your body. This body is the grossest manifestation of this. Whereas you have the real understanding that you have not only this body, but you have 4 more bodies. And all these bodies are in a continual flux of change. And that is the dimension that you have to understand. You see. And apart from these 5 bodies, that which is beyond the 4 bodies and the 5 bodies is the pure consciousness, which is unchanging dimension of reality. That's what you have to understand. So, what is that nature of that ultimate reality? It is unchanging reality, and it is immortal, and nobody can kill it. It is beyond space-time causation, and therefore you understand that there are 2 dimensions. One is the ever-changing dimension, and the other is unchanging dimension. The unchanging dimension is our original self, Paramatma, self of all people, Paramatma. And the 5 bodies we have, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanandamaya koshas, or 3 bodies according to Vedanta, Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and Karana Sharira. They are all continually changing and changing and changing. These are the 2 dimensions. And therefore, you have to understand this total knowledge. If you understand this dimension, then it says, Anyamane sharire nahanyate. In this body that gets killed, the bodies that you are going to kill all these people is only the annihilation of the gross body. When we all die, when we get killed, it's a physical body that gets killed, but we have other bodies that exist after our death. That's the concept of rebirth introduced here by Krishna in this dimension. So, what is being killed or destroyed is only the body. It is something like changing clothes. Once our dresses get old, then you throw them out and you have the new ones. This is what is going to happen. So when we die, we get into the other 4 bodies. Gradually, Pranamaya Kosha will get absorbed, and then you have Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya Kosha, in which all our personality traits will be embedded, in the form of Sanchita Karma. And when they come up again, in the new body, we have the Prarabdha Karma that brings those specific personality traits into our thing. That's the concept of rebirth. And as we have seen, there are a lot of research that has undergone, and Professor Stevenson was the pioneer in bringing this dimension to great extent. And that is the concept of rebirth that's included. And that which is beyond is unchangeable. Achedyo ayamadakhyaha akyam akledyo ashoshya evaja nitya sarvagatasthānuhu achaloyam sanatanaha. It's achala, unmoving. It's beyond space, time, causation. And it is beyond birth and death. And it is unchanging reality, beyond space, time, causation. That's the ultimate goal. So what is it that we have to do? We're all bound these changes, continuous changes, and featured by tamas, rajas, and sattva, the 3 gunas with which we do. Therefore, we have to continuously change from tamas to rajas, rajas to sattva, and go beyond the gunas. So, the next verse, he says, Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvando nitya sattvastaha niryogakshema atmavan. Says that you have to go beyond the sattva. We also discuss as to how we have to go beyond. Why we have to go beyond the sattva? Because sattva is the best. You have got all the good qualities, helping others, serving others, and dana, daya, dhamma, and all the 10 commandments and the 10 dimensions of yama, are all embedded in these things. And why we should go beyond that? So here comes the deeper dimensions of understanding which Krishna Bhagavan gives us. At the base of all the three gunas is the attachment to the results. Even as a sattvic person, you have great attachment to the results. And when you don't get the result, then you get upset, you get lost. And you end up with various challenges and problems of this thing. This is what we see in great personalities who have dedicated their life for the nation. But when you find that the nation is not coming up to your expectation, ideal social orders are not being built, you get completely disturbed about it, you get tensed about it, and the tension and the stresses mount up, and number of challenges and problems of NCDs and others start coming up. If that is one reason, another reason is the subtle conflict between the one guna and another guna, one sattva guna and another sattva guna, and conflict between the ethics and moral character compared to the duty. This is what happened to Arjuna. Which is better of the two? Duty is better, or showing love, compassion, and sacrifice of all these things, which is better of the two? And conflict between one duty and another duty, and questioning the very base of ethics and morality, questioning the very base of the duty and other things. And finally, what is the meaning of this life? We all take birth, we grow, we probably get educated, and we start working and getting the jobs and other things. One day get married, and then maybe produce children, we get old, and when we die. Is it all to life, or is there something deeper than these things? That is a big question that arose in the minds of Sri Rama, which brought the whole secret of the meaning of life in the Yoga Vasishta. Therefore, Krishna says here that you have to go beyond even the Sattva Guna, though it's the best among the gunas. Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna. You have to go beyond the gunas. What is that feature? Nirdvandvaha, Nitya Sattvastaha, Niryogakshema, Atmavan, all the time attuned to that infinite pure consciousness. Inner layer of the mind, all the time inner consciousness, calmness, peace, harmony, love and bliss. And outside we have the changes that take place. So we go beyond the dvandvas, that the dualities, and you become nitya sattvasta, yogastaha, attuned to that self, nir-yoga-kshema dimensions that come up. That's what we saw. So contained in that is move from tamas to rajas to sattva. How to go beyond the gunas? It is the attachment which we have to overcome. Attachment has to be removed. So you have to go beyond the duplex of life. Yoga, for example, is acquisition, kshema is preservation. You have to go beyond yoga kshema, beyond also you have to do. So you have to go beyond all the panchakoshas, because in all the panchakoshas also we have attachment to the koshas. And that's what a great gnani achieves. Therefore, in the next verse, Krishna gives the wonderful dimension of a sthita prajna. प्रजहाति यदा कामान् सर्वान् पार्थमनोगतान् आत्मन्येवात्मना तुष्टः स्थितप्रज्ञस्तदोच्यते. There are two dimensions of growth. Who is a master? Who is the Paramagnani? Who is called as Sthita Prajna, whose Prajna has been established? Number one, his mind is completely in his control, complete mastery over the mind. He can stay in silence for any length of time. And whenever he wants to think, he can think. And he can think very fast and he'll do everything. And at the same time, when he wants, he can be completely in that silence. In fact, silence sets all the time inside to get this mastery. All the time, the inner layer of the mind is in that silence, calmness, peace, and bliss, and outside, the actions go on. So he is free from all thoughts, free from all desires. Prajahati yada kaman, sarvan kaman yada prajahati. Then Atmani eva atmana drishta. Understanding that silence is bliss, bliss is silence is peace. He stays in that silence all the time. And that is the second dimension, all the time in blissful awareness, independent of the things outside. So that is the goal that is set. The question is, how do we do that? Then comes the mechanism of emotions. It says the connections between the thoughts and the emotions, heart and head, often is said. We all think that emotions are totally different from the thoughts. So we have to overcome all these emotions, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, of the rajas, and good and bad, everything you have to overcome to become Trigunya Vishaya. For that, Krishna says you have to understand what is the connection between the thoughts and the emotions. ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषुपजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशः बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. Oh, sequence as to how the emotions get invoked. What is the close connection between thoughts and emotions? When you go on thinking about the same subject, event, a person, an object, continuously go on thinking about again, then an attachment comes. Sangahateshu padayate. Sangha is attachment. So, attachment is the beginning of all emotions. Attachment is the first emotion. And what characterizes emotions? Power. Because when you go on repeating thoughts again and again, the thought becomes very powerful. It converts itself into an emotion. For example, in the physical world, you go on speeding up the energy, higher frequency, smaller wavelength, and it slowly becomes more and more intense, and it becomes so intense, it grossifies itself into matter. So, in modern science, we understood the connection between the energy and the matter. Similarly, here, our great masters understood the connection between thoughts and emotion. When we power up the thoughts, increase the speed, first mind, repetition, then it becomes an emotion. And the first emotion is the attachment. And attachment brings the raga and dvesha, attractions and repulsions. And that leads to the anger and the greed. And that turns itself into sammoha, infatuation, and the loss of the memory, which is very necessary to have the right discrimination. And finally, lose the discrimination power. This is a whole sequence of degradation that occurs. So, the conclusion of this is emotions are speeded up thoughts, powered up thoughts, and they are not independent things. So, thoughts and emotions, the functioning of the heart and the brain, as we often say, they are quite connected with another. And that is the dimension that brings about the things. So, what is the thing that we have to do? We have to gain mastery over the emotions. Thereby, you get the mastery about the thoughts also. When all of the thoughts have turned themselves into the emotions, and we have the good emotions, we have the bad emotions. Bad emotions are more powerful emotions than the softer and gentle emotions of good emotions. But all these things have to be also overcome. That's the important dimension that has to come up. So how to do that? In the next verse, Krishna gives the secret. Ragadvesha viyuktaistu vishayan indriyaischaran atmavashair vidheyatma prasadam You can control and master over the emotions, and you get the prasada. That is the wonderful, blissful state of peace and silence. And that is going to achieve. How? What you do for that? Raga, Dvesha, Viyuktaihi. We have to overcome Raga and Dvesha. You have to come out of the bondage of Raga and Dvesha. How? How Raga and Dvesha come? By the Sangha. The Sangha is the attachment. You have to overcome the attachment. So, Vishayan Indriyaihi Charan. That's what is happening. Indriyas are always in continuous interaction with the objects. And the senses get enslaved with their objects. And we get enslaved with that thing. And as a result of that, the anger, greed, jealousy, all these things start coming up in a big way, becomes more and more dimension. Therefore, we have to overcome that slavery of the senses to the objects of enjoyment. How? By Atmavashehi Vidheyatma, attuned to that self. All the time understanding that I'm that blissful awareness, I'm that consciousness, and I'm that eternal self. So, yogastaha kuru karmani, as it said, to overcome that attachment, we have to tune ourselves to that infinite, that all-pervasive thing, at the silence dimension. Atmavishyahi vidheyatva. If you do that, then prasadam adhigacchati, you say. That's the whole secret. So, what is the sadhana? We have to overcome the bondage of the senses with the sense object. How to do that? You have to observe and cut the loop. When the senses are moving towards the sense object, there is an attachment that is coming up in the whole process, and that attachment should be reduced, and thereby attractions and repulsions will be done. Therefore, you cut the loop of the senses getting into the objects of enjoyment. At the deeper level, we saw sadhana that straight away you deal with the thoughts and silence the thoughts. Repetition of the thoughts should vanish. So this is how you get mastery over the senses. To illustrate, I had a nice small story which I heard. There was a person named Regan, and in the dusty attic of his late grandfather's mansion, he went into that wonderful mansion built by his grandfather. He goes there, and he found a lot of books there, and ledgers were there. And when he was curious, they wanted to see what it contains. He found in one of the ledgers a hidden treasure. And that hidden treasure told the untold wealth. So he was very fascinated. Oh, so much of wealth has been put by my grandfather. So naturally, a spark of greed ignited in him. How I wish I have this, billions of dollars which he has mounted. Nobody knew. And he started planning. A sinister plan began to unfold. So then he started finding out, where is that wealth? Where is that wealth? He traced the clandestine fortune to a remote offshore account, stoking the flames of the avarice. So he found that yes, this is where these things are available. Then he thought, knowing all these things, why the head of a family, why our people did not look at these things, And he became very angry about them, head of the family and other family. So, as the secret of the wonderful wealth of $1 billion was unraveled, the greed transformed itself into a ruthless determination, and anger bubbled beneath the surface. And he became very, very angry about the entire family. And he went and confronted the family members. accusing them of hoarding the family fortune. I do not know what you are using that, whether you are using and then you are misusing that, all these things. And I never knew about these things and how you people are doing this. So the tensions escalated and the air cracked with the electricity of suppressed fury. And Reagan was terrible. As this started in a climatic confrontation fueled by avarice and rage, the truth spilled out like a torrent. The family legacy, tainted by lies and deceit, crumbled. The revelation, soaked in the shadows of greed and anger, left behind a fractured family. Then came the head of the family. Torn by anger and mistrust of Reagan, he confronted the truth about the patriarch's inheritance to trace the truth. The head of the family said, "Hey, come on, calm down, Reagan. I will tell you the truth. I will tell everything about that wonderful treasure that you have unraveled. You have not misused. What happened? The new fact by the head of the family, which explained, peeled away the layers of anger and avarice of Reagan. Reagan realized the hidden fortune in the ledger was a facade. What is that fact? What is the new fact? His grandfather, burdened by the guilt over all forgotten wealth, had anonymously donated the entire sum to the charitable causes. The grandfather, who had brought all this wealth and probably ill gotten wealth, was burdened by the guilt over this, and therefore anonymously he donated the entire sum to the charitable causes. So there was no wealth that was accumulated there, and the family never used these things or misused that. The head of the family unraveled this thing. And this revelation shattered Reagan's greedy illusions and left him grappling with the weight of his own moral transgressions. How foolish I was, how foolish I was. I never looked at truth and started shattering the family ties. The story concluded with the family and the Reagan realizing the consequences of greed and anger created by attachment and desire, turning themselves into greed, raga, and leading to krodha, and leading to infatuation. So, learning that true richness lay in overcoming the slavery of senses to their objects. He and the entire family understood what happens when our senses become slaves to their objects of enjoyment. And slowing down the emotional outbursts by control over the senses and calmness is the solution. So they all learned that forgiveness, which helped in rebuilding the bonds. And with the Reagan's confession and forgiveness, built the whole family back to a wonderful, lovable family. And because of that anger, greed, and outbursts and uncontrolled speed of the mind, which had shattered and strained the entire family to a breaking point, that all vanished by the truth. So Krishna's whole emphasis, you must understand the whole truth. The gnana is the most important thing. So all our emotional problems and challenges, are to be solved by this knowledge base. Look at what has happened in the world at large. Sigmund Freud, he brought out the revelation. Don't suppress emotion. Why did he say that? He was right. Every day he was looking at hundreds and hundreds of people with various types of psychiatric problems, that is hysteria, then the depression and whatnot, And in all these cases, he found something common: suppression. In the name of manners, etiquettes, habits, customs, and others, people were suppressing the emotions. As a result, there was a boomerang. That is the root cause that he found. Therefore, he brought the dictum: don't suppress emotions. Yes, he was right in that. We should not suppress emotions. But what is the solution he gave? Give free vent to the emotions. That's where he was wrong. The American society was all well set with a free society, and therefore everybody absorbed this thing, and the whole dynamic psychiatry and others are based on the Freudian things that give free vent to the emotions. And what is the result that happened? Did we solve the problem? Giving free vent to the emotions turned themselves into license. Freedom turned themselves into license. And we started becoming slaves to our senses. And in American society, the youth said, as we are a free bird, we can do anything. We don't have to care for any father or mother or teachers or faculty or anybody. We are the free bird, we can do that. Fine, it's okay. Good. They may have the freedom to do that. But what has happened? They have become drug addicts. They are slaves to the alcohol and all types of the desires, turning them into slavery. The senses have absorbed them, made them slaves to the sense objects. And the result is shattering. Instead of getting into the better health, there has been shattering of the emotions, shattering of their health, and it has become the biggest problem, ADHD and whatnot. Why did this happen? So yoga gives the solution. Yoga says, if you try to quench the fire by putting ghee onto it, will it solve the problem? The fire is going to burst up. This is the law of the senses. When the senses demand their objects of enjoyment, and if you give that, the attachment comes up, and attachment turns itself into the raga, that is, the attractions, and a desire to get that again increases more and more, more and more, more and more, and turns itself into greed. Therefore, you become slaves to the emotions. So this is the whole secret. Therefore, what is the way out? If you try to control the emotions, they get suppressed, and you have a large number of problems. If you give free vent to the emotions, it will get outburst and again cause greater hazards, greater problems. What is the way out? It's here that this shloka gives us the solution. They are not solved by suppression, but by the secret of sublimation. What is the sublimation? Which is different from suppression. I give normally a simple example. A novice driver is driving the car, is going very fast, overtaking all other cars. 80 kilometers, 100 kilometers, 120 kilometers, he's going faster and faster and faster. And he sees a red light there. And he is hopeful, by the time I reach the red is going to turn green, and still I can continue going the same speed. He never reduces the speed. But coming very near the red light, few more yards in front, you see a big police inspector standing there to catch him. He jams the brake. The whole car comes to a grinding halt. Everybody in the car is shattered. Maybe somebody gets a spinal injury, and they all curse the reckless driver. Whereas a master driver, He is also going with a high speed, 100, 120, 140 kilometers. When he sees the red, he decelerates. 120, 100, 50, 20, 10, 5 comes to a smooth halt. Nobody knows how the whole car came to such a beautiful halt. And when the red turns green, again it will go up. So this is the difference between suppression and sublimation. In suppression, you have all the energies that are continuously getting evoked there. But you do not reduce that and you completely block. All the energies produced will be completely have the boomerang effect. So what is necessary? You have to slow down, slow down, slow down. That's the whole essence. And this is called sublimation. So this is the secret that is unraveled in gaining mastery over the emotions. And therefore, Krishna says that speeded up thoughts, which are essentially turning themselves into the attachment and various emotions of higher and higher power, are all have to be brought down by the process of sublimation. Sublimation is the key essence. Sublimation is slowing down. So you bring down from the attachment, which is speeded up thoughts with power thoughts, slow down, and then you bring down. This is what we do when we control, we reduce the speed of the car by reducing the fuel that you are giving, which is getting burned to produce the energy. You are going to reduce that. This is what is going to happen. Therefore, the whole essence is to see that we have the control and mastery over the emotions by our slowing down. Slowing down is the whole essence of the thing that comes up. So with that, we come to the conclusion of today's talk, and the whole essence is to see that we gain control and mastery over the thoughts by calming down the mind, silencing the mind, tranquilizing the mind, and retaining that calmness inside in the subtler layers of the mind all the time in that thing. And that is the whole secret that's unraveled here in this beautiful verse. And that's the real solution that we have to do. We have to go beyond Freudian approach towards the real yogic approach for getting mastery over the emotions, and thereby we do that. And we have been using these techniques to deal with large number of mental challenges, psychiatric challenges of people who come here. In our C section, we have all such people who come here and we get wonderful results using these dimensions. And Dr. Nagaratna has been at the forefront of this wonderful thing, and even the severe cases of schizophrenia, in which the thoughts have grown itself into almost the matter, you know, that they have become very, very strong, and they have gone into the deeper dimensions of Parnamaya Kosha. Adi has become Vyadhi and has brought the changes in the brain thing itself to do. So this is the whole essence. And with these things, we conclude today's talk with our Shanti Mantra. And if any questions are there, you can come onto the chat box and we'll try to do that. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Kritika Best is asking, please tell us the reference for these things.
Are you on mute?
I'm not mute. On.
Pranam Guruji. Pranam Guruji. Namaste. Dhanwad.
Thank you. It's all in the Bhagavad Gita, which I mentioned, that is the reference, and that's the shloka that we dealt with. So,
Okay.
Jayata
Okay.
Vishyantansaha Sangaha Deshopadavayate is the dimension that comes up.
Sir,
So,
which chapter is the reference?
that is the reference for this thing, and that comes in Bhagavad Gita. And as you mentioned in the whole thing, Dehayata Vishwanpansa is the key shloka there, which we have seen. And
Okay.
Ragadveshavayuktaistu Vishyavanindriyacharan Atmavashair Vidheyatma Prasadamadigatyate is the thing that we talked about today. That is the shloka which is there, in our Bhagavad Gita. And the shloka number I can give you. Shanpulsa is 2.62, second chapter, 62nd verse.
Okay. Okay, Guruji.
Then the next one is 264, second chapter, 64, is a reference for Ragadvesha Viyuktaistu, Vishayavanindriyacharan. These are the references for that.
Okay, Guruji. Dhanwad.
Bhagavad Gita, I can go and then you can see the details there. This thing. Then Narendra Kumar. During conflict of karma, how to search the solution. If we have to perform two karma same time, both are urgent, what is the solution? The whole essence is that you have to calm down the mind, silence the mind, and see that the objectivity starts coming. When the thoughts get speeded up, they turn themselves into emotions, and we lose the power of discrimination. Therefore, whenever such conflicts are there, when there is a conflict between one good thought and other good things, and one object, one task is the same as the other things, what is the one that we have to do? Is to calm down the mind, silence the mind, tranquil the mind, give the time a little bit, and then that gives. I was giving an example in Houston. So a couple came to the court and told that we can no more live together. We have become terrible. And please give us the divorce. They had applied for a divorce. And the judge says, see, according to the rule, you have now applied and you have to wait for 6 months. And come back after 6 months. And if you still have this conflict, and the divorce will be given. What does that show? You have to allow time, give time, so that do that. But he said, I will give you an alternate, that if you follow that, I can give the divorce even in 3 months. Both of them very, very thrilled. Very good, sir. Please let us know. And we want to divorce as quickly as possible. Then he said, you see, in Houston, there is a Vyasa center, and there is one person called Ramrao who is taking yoga classes there. You go there, and every day both of you practice the yoga for 1 hour, and come back. And if you still want divorce, I will give you divorce in 3 months. A special concession for you. So they were all very happy, and they started going, and their things started resolving, And they came after 1 month and said to the judge, we don't need any more divorce. We are together. How did this happen? When the mind becomes calm, then your differences start coming down. And you are able to see the divinity in the other person. And the small differences are going to come down. Similarly, you are able to see the subtleties involved between the two karmas, which you think are same. There could be greater dividends in one of the karmas compared to the other one. This can happen one day when you calm down the mind, silence the mind, tranquil the mind. And that is how you'll be able to work on these things. So the thing is that you must calm down the mind, silence the mind. And if you do that very fast by various techniques that you have learned, like maybe cyclic meditation or deep pranayama and others, you can do it very fast in a few days or in a day or two also. Then you can choose. So why we have not been able to decide? Because of the uncontrolled speed of the mind, emotions taking over, senses getting the slavery to the sense object. That is the thing. That's the whole essence which Krishna is giving. Thank you for the nice question that you have.
Thank you, Guruji.
Good. Yeah, Navneet is asking one more thing as to how we have to do this thing. I remember our Eknath Ranade, who is the mastermind of the entire Vivekananda Kendra movement. And he was encountering a lot of challenges and problems continuously. So it happened once that one of the cabinet ministers made very derogatory comments about the Vivekananda Kendra and the Rock Memorial and many other things. And then he became very upset. And it had all come in the papers and the news, and therefore he wrote a very strong letter. And normally he had a habit that he will not post the letter on the same day. Next day he will read that and he makes the suitable changes that is needed. If he is happy about that, he will send. That was the standard thing for him. So the second day he made corrections. He was showing me every day corrections. 18 drafts, 18 days it took. And on the 18th day, when he was satisfied this letter, then he posted. We know if he had posted the first letter, then he had made a big enemy of that minister. But the same facts put forth in such a beautiful way, which appealed to the heart of the cabinet minister, and he apologized for the things in public and became a great friend of the Vivekananda Kendra in the Rock Memorial and Eknaji Ranade. This is the power of gaining mastery over the emotions. So what you have to do is to calm down the mind, silence the mind, tranquil the mind. Then you know what is it that you want to achieve by writing that letter. You want to make the friend. You don't want to make an enemy. So the same facts should be put in such a way that it will appeal to the person. That is the key essence of the whole process of sublimation. You have to sublimate the emotions and do the things, calming down the mind, silencing the mind, tranquilizing the mind, and see that you work on these dimensions. And when you are working on these things, it is going to bring the correct result. Then you get the revelation of what is the thing that will be helpful to you. So many times, because we become slaves to the emotions, we lose, and you do things which will harm more than good. Therefore, Krishna's whole essence is to sublimate the emotions and see that it does. How to calm the mind, Guruji, at times of krodha, especially, you have to give time. You have to come out and you take a deep breath and slowly breathe out 2 times, 3 times, 5 times. Eknath's idea was that when you are going to respond, you take time, You write the letter second day and the third day and the fourth day. This is how he was doing this thing. So we must take time because in the mood of anger, you should not do any action. When you have taken a decision for divorce, then You should not immediately divorce. You take time. You think the second day, and the third day, and fourth day. And this is how you will be able to bring them together. And particularly when the mind is calm, you're able to see the goodness in the other person or see the viewpoint of the other person. You'll be able to do these things. That is the whole essence that we learn from this beautiful verse. Thank you. Thank you. With that, then, we'll close today's thing and we'll proceed next Saturday, the same time, 7 to 8. Next Saturday, we are going to meet. Thank you very much. And these things are all recorded and it's available for those people who want to see that here again and then work on these dimensions. We can do these things. Thank you very much for all your presence. धन्यवाद. Thank you, Shilpa, Ratna, Suryakant ji, Vital Patel, Mitali Patel, Navneet. Thank you, all of you, for these things. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
राम गुरु जी, धन्यवाद.